It's Mario.
And I'm David.
And we are Out of Box. So today we're going to be talking about E3 Sony. Now, how excited are you for this one?
You know, I'm super excited. I've seen so much stuff that I cannot wait to get to talk to.
All right. Now, Sony, I've heard a lot of people go back and forth being like, it wasn't as good as some other press conferences. They were a little disappointed in it. Would you agree with most people, or?
I, myself, a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Xbox really came out of the pen just swinging.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like PlayStation just didn't bring their A game this year.
Yeah. No, PlayStation always usually has something good to offer, especially with how many exclusives they already had lined up this year.
Right.
But I don't blame them. I, myself, was disappointed as well. I was like, at the end of it, I was like, that's it? But at the same time, I was pretty happy with what they showed.
They did show some great games.
Well, it was weird, too, because this first one that we're about to talk about, before we really get into it, it was The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Which looked phenomenal.
So brutal.
However, their press conference was a little weird because they had everyone in like this church kind of set up with the lights, and then after they showed the game, they had an intermission. So
it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen at E3. I mean, like, there's been some pretty weird stuff at E3. I did, however, like the banjo. The banjo, like, yes. I was vibing.
Much better than Bethesda's like little rock concert.
Yeah, like I could have done without Bethesda's rock concert. Like, just give me the banjo guy all day.
That was great. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Last of Us, and we're not going to give you a really weird intermission afterwards. However, Part 2. Did you play the first Last of Us?
I did. I played it 3 times.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got me beat. I only played it once. I was late to the game, too. I heard a bunch of people talk about it was a great game. I was like, let me check this game out. It ended up being just fantastic.
It's hands down one of my favorite games of all time.
And I think what makes it so great is the relationship that you see grow between...
Definitely, between Ellie and
father figure.
Father figure.
We both blanked on his name.
Wait a minute. No, I know it. This is awful.
Because
I am a huge fan. Joel.
There we go. Joel and Ellie.
So,
to see their relationship grow, I think that was the best part of the game.
Definitely.
Even to the end where he basically sacrifices humanity just to save her. Spoilers. So... going into this one...
If they haven't played it by now...
It's kind of their own fault.
It's their own fault.
This one was very interesting because we saw... Last E3, they showed us a trailer, and it was Ellie on the guitar around a bunch of dead bodies.
Yeah, and Joel appeared, and people were kind of questioning if Joel was even alive. That was a large thing, and even going into this one, I was kind of wondering, like... I don't know. I feel like it's not a story without Joel. I feel like I need him in there.
It's going to be great. It's going to be weird to not have him in this one, but they've made it very clear that it's probably just going to be Ellie.
Just Ellie, yeah.
And maybe one other character. So they were playing kind of a past and present vibe with us.
Right.
Being in the church with all the lights and the dancing, and you see that they've created a community, and they jump to, I presume, the present, which
so I'm guessing.
Turns out... and then they didn't confirm or deny who was alive or dead during the present. And so I want to get into the fact that it was really cool to see the community, but there's not much to talk about there. They did mention Joel, so he was alive during that time when everything seems happy and stuff like that. People mentioned to Ellie, the other girl mentioned to Ellie, like, oh, you're old man. So everyone sees Joel as kind of like her father, right? So we both can see that. You're probably going to dislike what I'm about to say here in a second. So when we cut to the present, and whenever the girl's talking about how they should be afraid of her, and she's going through this bandit camp, or this cult camp, whatever they are,
right?
They were calling her the wolf, which I found interesting. But
it was interesting. And
they showed like how Ellie can handle herself now. However, everything seemed a little too cinematic for me.
You know, I kind of got that same vibe, but... So, I've actually had a few conversations with some other people, too, as well about this.
Right.
Everybody's talking about it, obviously. But I feel like it did look a little cinematic. But I feel like if anybody's going to pull off that kind of gameplay, it would be Naughty Dog.
It would be Naughty Dog.
Like, and it didn't seem like it was so far off that it was, unbelievable.
I agree completely to the fact where when I was playing The Last of Us, the first one... And I played it on the PS4, so I didn't even get to play it back when it on the console was made on. I was surprised. I was like, man, this was ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
Just the mechanics alone were just beating up someone, and how they reacted to you fighting with them I loved it. That was my favorite part. So this one just seemed like it took it to the next level, and I feel like maybe that part where, you know, the guy's on his knees and he's essentially gonna be about to be executed by Ellie, and then it cuts back to that other cutscene. Right. I think that was cinematic, and that was like forced and made to be fake. Like, that's not going to happen in the game. Everything else, I feel, is maybe hit or miss. I hope they don't pull a Ubisoft on us.
So you're saying that, like, in that like little storefront, do you think that was a cinematic?
I feel like not the whole thing, but they're towards the end where, you know, the her
the
pulling
kind of
up,
scooting around, and
the camera movement and stuff like that.
I can kind of see that.
It just seemed from the start up to the parking garage. I thought, okay, that looked realistic gameplay mechanic wise, but it wasn't until we got into like the pharmacy, or the convenience store that I was like, this is getting a little like too much. Like the second she pulled out the arrow, I was like, oh my gosh, she pulled out the arrow. Like that detail was so crazy. And then it kept on going and going. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I was like, that is a little too crazy for me.
Yeah, my thing was the way she was like ducking around arrows. Like they would go flying through the air, and she'd like kind of duck out of the way and then like come back around. I still feel like, I don't know, I guess I just have faith in Naughty Dog to deliver something that no one else has ever made. Right. You know? I feel like it's more gameplay than it is cinematic.
You could be right. There could be like a hard mode or a survival mode, because maybe you play it on normal and there's icons. Like, because we didn't see any HUD. Yeah. There was no health bar. There was no bullet. I like that.
If they do that kind of thing, I think I would be very interested in the way that they're able to portray the story with minimal interference from HUD the game system.
Yes. No, I agree. I think that if there was a survival mode where you had no help from the game whatsoever and you just had to go off of memory, that would be pretty interesting.
It would be brutal.
And then going back to something I stated earlier about her nickname being Wolf, even the cultists were calling her Wolf. Yeah. So she has made a name for herself. She has become like almost
she's
legend.
Like the boogeyman.
Yeah. Like she's killed probably a lot of people, and to the point where people are afraid of her. Like they don't call her Ellie, they call her the Wolf. Like she hunts people down.
I said even in the first one, she's a monster.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting, and I wonder if Joel's death, I'm presuming he's dead.
I really hope not. I love Joel. I love that voice.
They have a history of killing off characters.
I really hope not. But...
It's going to be in the first 10 minutes. They're going to make you cry again.
Yeah, I'm going to cry. I cried like a little baby whenever his daughter died in the first one.
Hands down, as doubtful as I am, I really hope the gameplay is exactly how they showed it from Pharmacy and all.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If they do deliver on what they showed at E3, you're looking at another Game of the Year contender from them, no doubt.
No doubt. I got no theories about this game, other than the fact that Joel's dead and that it's going to be a revenge story. You have anything in mind? Heard anything interesting?
I'm kind of trying to go into it as kind of blind as I can. Like, I'd like to see the stuff that we saw at E3. Right. But as far as story details and stuff like that, trying to stay away from it a little bit just because I want to experience it. It's like this whole environment.
That's probably the best way to go at it, or else you're going to get those expectation highs and you're going to be as disappointed as some people were in Star Wars. So,
yeah, that.
We'll have another podcast on that later. However, right after The Last of Us and everything, they showed a little clip. They didn't really show any more gameplay, but it was of Black Ops 4, and it was more of just kind of like selling the game more. But it was Back in Black, DLC, downloadable content to add the old maps into the newer games. Right. Now, this one got you going.
Yeah, I'm a little flustered about that one. So they essentially they put out these 4 maps. I think it's jungle, firing range.
It was 2 other ones.
Yeah, there's 2 other ones, but basically those maps are going to be available at launch for anybody that pre-orders the game. So that's like their pre-order bonus for this year. Those are going to be available for Black Ops 4 at launch. In addition to that, if you pre-order it digitally on the PlayStation Store, you're also going to get it on Black Ops 3.
Right.
So the problem is the way that they've kind of aligned this is it's only available on PlayStation, and it's only available to people who have pre-ordered it. So, like, if you want to go and play on Black Ops 3 for it, there's nobody to play with over there right now. Nobody's pre-ordered it. It's also not available on Xbox. It's PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, wow. Get that. Oh.
Yeah.
You think that's something that they're going to release later on, or they're going to keep it PlayStation just to sell more consoles?
It's a possibility. You know, I don't know really.
It is a weird tactic because it is a market just on digital content, and digital tends to keep their prices higher.
Right.
And the only time they lower their prices is, from my understanding, I could be completely wrong and someone's going to correct me, is because the physical copies or they're not selling, and so they lower the prices to bring up the physical prices, or to bring up the sales of the physical disc. So
right.
It is a weird tactic, making it a digital kind of thing only, but we are going into that realm where a lot of people are transitioning to digital.
Yeah, me and myself, I mean, I pretty much exclusively buy digital now.
I think my digital games are only ones where I can share with a buddy.
Yeah, so, that's what I do with mine.
Exactly. Other than that, I buy mine physical. But no, Black Ops didn't show us any more gameplay, didn't show us any new content. They were just like, nope. Here's an incentive to buy your game. Which,
there's not much for them to show, really. I mean, they kind of showed their cards at their reveal event, and, I mean...
True.
We all know now that Black Ops 4 is a multiplayer-only game. That's what it is.
That's mainly... I do want to see gameplay on the...
Blackout mode?
Blackout mode, yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Seeing that by itself could gain or lose people based on how that gameplay goes. I think it's very ambitious, and I actually think it's something that I would prefer over PUBG, just for the fact that it's like you play as past characters from the Call of Duty franchise.
Definitely. I'm a Call of Duty player. I've been playing since Call of Duty Big Red 1 on the original Xbox. Like, I played the Call of Duty series.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see. I think the whole idea behind Fortnite and PUBG and, you know, H1Z1,
right,
all those Battle Royale type modes, everybody's doing them now.
Right.
Who knows who's going to do it the best?
Exactly. We're definitely going to have to discuss more of this. We're going to have an own video of, like, should you buy Black Ops, and why it would be a good idea or why it would not be a good idea.
Definitely.
There's not much more we can say about Call of Duty, unfortunately. Something that I myself am excited for, and I believe you are too. Wish they showed more. Wish they showed that Blackout mode. However, this next game is something that, for the life of me, I keep trying to pronounce and I keep forgetting it. You even told me how to pronounce it before we started this, and I've already forgotten. So I'm going to let you take this one in. It was one of Sony's exclusive releases.
Yep.
Something the first time we've ever seen this game.
Yep, it's from Sucker Punch Studios, the same guys who made Infamous and Infamous 2 and those games. It's called Ghosts of Tsushima. Tsushima.
Now this one, as awesome as Last of Us was, and as awesome as, if those of you who haven't seen Sony E3 yet, Spider-Man was, Ghost of Tsushima was my most anticipated game. Like, I saw that. I saw the game. They didn't just show us a teaser. They showed us some gameplay as well.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. It was love at first sight for me.
It's a jaw dropper for sure. I haven't seen anything like it this generation, or really even last generation that I personally played. So yeah, I'm very excited for that one.
It's like if For Honor had made a really good in-depth fighting system, plus
with a story.
The landscape alone was super beautiful. They started off with that flute player. Yeah. Again, I preferred more than the rock concert.
Yeah. Still would have took the banjo.
It still would have taken the banjo. Banjo and flute player, see if we can get them together. And it just zooms out. You see you're a samurai, I'm assuming. You're a samurai.
Yeah, it seems to me that it's probably like it's either samurai or some other band of that kind of fighter.
But you know what? Now that I think about it, I think they showed off this game last E3. They showed a trailer of the story, and it's almost like a redemption story.
I have heard it talked about in other game journalism.
Right.
So it is a game that we've kind of known was coming from Sucker Punch. We knew they were working on another game. But this is definitely the most in-depth look that we've seen of the game yet.
Exactly. And it's a dark world. It's not something that should be taken lightly, and it's going to be an open world.
Yeah.
A beautiful open world. We see him go down, and it's a war-torn country. And just first off impressions from what we got, which I don't know if it was part of the main mission or side mission, but it was one of the most artistic games I've seen. Like, just something that caught me by surprise.
Yeah, definitely. The lighting is actually what caught me off guard. I was like, when they first started it, again, I didn't really know what was coming. I knew Sucker Punch was working on a new game as a studio, and the grass waving
yes,
and everything, and then the character appears, and you're like, oh, what is this? I'm not sure I know what this is. And just the lighting as he comes over the hill.
Yes.
And you see just the vast open world. It is beautiful, just breathtaking.
It is. What did you think of the combat when you first saw it?
Very bloody. Very bloody. Just very fast paced. Just intense, fast paced. I just want to play it, Mario.
Right. No, I don't blame you. It did. Looking at it, so at first, when you first see him go against the little, I don't know, I want to say soldiers or maybe mobsters of some sort.
They seem like some sort of, either a protection soldier or some other army or other, band of people that you're going against throughout the world, maybe.
That, it looked great. You were outclassing them super easily in the gameplay. And then you get into, okay, so you can play this however way you want. It was kind of like a stealth part of the mission, and when he pulled out that lasso and he swung in and
got up on the roof.
It was great. Comes down, assassinates those guys. Everything's running super smoothly. It looks like just regular gameplay, not something faked like how Ubisoft does with The Division. No one plays like that.
I don't know. I kind of want to play The Division. I'm okay with it.
I do too. I just don't think I would ever get a group of friends that'd be that cooperative.
No, definitely not. No, we would all go our separate ways and just blow everything up.
Of course. And then the stabbing the guy through the blinds. But I really got to see the combat, and this is why I compare it to For Honor. Whenever you kind of get into, I guess, the boss battle or the mini boss battle with the other samurai, the archer,
right.
And some people might hate me for this. It looked a tad bit clunky. Like, you can see he was playing super defensively against the archer, probably because the game was probably set on easy mode so they don't mess up their presentation.
Right.
However, it did look like the blocking mechanics where you don't change stances as you block. You got to watch out for certain moves, and then whenever you attack, and you can sometimes get sword clashes and get those Star Wars lightsaber moments, which I think is the best part of any sword fighting.
Right.
But what did you think? Did you see any of that? Did any of that catch your attention? Did
I
that
didn't
worry
actually
you?
catch that. I was kind of enamored with just the aesthetics of the game. That part with the stabbing through the blinds, that kind of threw me because I was like, I didn't even see that guy. He just went in for it.
I thought that was great. I'm gonna go into more details of what I saw. Whenever you were doing the boss fight with the archer, so the whole ground was covered in leaves.
Yes, that was cool. As
you were fighting, the leaves were blowing away from where you were.
Yeah,
you can't see us right now, but me and David are moving our arms like windshield wipers. That's how mesmerizing the aesthetics of the game were. And then the whole thing where your ally turned into your enemy, turned into your ally.
Yeah, that was really weird. And that's where I think they're going to delve more into this. And just speaking from the past, Sucker Punch makes great games with great stories. Like Infamous, that series was amazing.
Yes. One of my favorite series. I wasn't the biggest fan of Second Son.
I wasn't either, but Infamous 1 and 2 definitely.
Yes.
With Cole.
They were great. But Ghost of Tsushima, something I'm most anticipated, is the thing I was the most excited for of all of E3. And
even over Spider-Man?
It's a tough one, but yes. That game just looked too beautiful.
It did look good, though. I will give you that.
Before we get to Spider-Man, there are a couple of games down the list. Another one where we got to see gameplay and trailer. It was called Control.
Yeah.
And that one had this Portal-esque type gameplay.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Quantum Break.
Yes.
Which was... Originally, that was a console exclusive for Xbox, which is weird.
They've jumped.
They've jumped ship. But it's actually made by the same people who made Quantum Break, if I'm not mistaken.
You got me beat there. The gameplay did... the only thing I got from it was super trippy.
It was. It's very mind-bending.
Couldn't tell what was going on, what was real, what was even up or down in some cases. Right. I think that's the point of the game, like challenging your perspective on reality. Something I wasn't too into, though.
I wasn't either. I mean, honestly, if they had shown something that kind of delved a little deeper, maybe showed some sort of aspect of the story in some way, I probably would have been more interested. But there was so much other stuff on the way, and not to mention the entire week that's in my mind.
Right.
It just wasn't a game that I was like, oh god, I gotta play that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, moving on, this is another game that I think caught everyone by surprise. No one knew what was happening. You're taking the perspective of a rat, and then as you get killed, you see that good old long bangs on that beautiful hair. Resident Evil 2 is getting remastered.
Mind blown.
Who would have thought? The crowd at that press conference went nuts.
They went insane. I went insane. I was jumping up and down on my couch like a little schoolboy. Like, it was ridiculous. I am so excited for that game. It's not even funny.
Now, that Resident Evil 2, I never got to touch. I played 4.
4 was great. I still love 4.
So this one, from what I've heard, you only played through... Who's the main character again? You probably are more familiar with this series. Leon?
I think it's Leon.
Yeah.
It's been so... Honestly, it's been since I was a kid since I played it.
Leon, you're not only going to play as him, but you're also going to... Because the second game only took in his perspective. It was only through Leon's eyes that you got to see it. But now there's going to be another story. So it's going to split. That's crazy. So they're adding content to the game, making it look fantastic.
That was the thing that kind of blew me away. Is like I can remember playing that game when it first came out, and it was like, I mean, if you go back and play that game now, it's like potato quality. I mean, it's bad, but it looked so good. It looked like an entirely new game. Like, I mean, it's every bit of this generation and more.
Right.
Like, I'm so excited to play it.
And so far, Sony, even though they didn't release a lot, so far they've released good quality. They've done quality over quantity.
Definitely.
However, this is where me and you might disagree. They started talking about this other game, Trover Saves the Universe.
Yes.
It's like a Rick and Morty, and the guys who created Rick and Morty. Not both of them.
Justin Roiland.
Justin Roiland.
Yeah. Justin Roiland. Justin Roiland. Yes,
it's even voiced by him.
It is. And that's what I love about it. Like, I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan myself. This is his game studio. It's Squanch Studios, which, if you've watched Rick and Morty, you know all about Squanch.
Oh, man. It's weird. I got super Rick and Morty vibes, like a little too much because they're voiced by him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just him. I mean, most of the stuff that Justin Roiland voices sounds kind of like that. But if you're a fan of that, of him and the stuff that he makes, you're more than likely going to love this game. Like, it looks great. It looks like you're going to be able to play it in VR or without VR, which, for me, I don't personally have a PlayStation VR, so
we'll have one.
I definitely want to play.
Now, I don't got much for this game, other than the fact that I'm not too excited for it. I am a Rick and Morty fan. However, it just didn't grab my attention. The VR, I don't think it looked like it was a platforming game.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, which I'm fine with. I honestly say this all the time. I feel like there should be more platformers. I think that platformers is kind of like a lost art. People don't make those kinds of games anymore, and I miss it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that completely. I'm glad we're getting a platformer. I hope it's good. I hope the gameplay is as good as the comedy. That is what I'm hoping for.
Justin Roiland's going to make it very funny, very, very funny,
very raunchy.
And I think, yeah, very. Oh, it's definitely not good to air on this show, but I think it'll definitely. I think it'll find its audience. Those people who kind of watch his content or are around his world are really going to like it.
Sounds good. Now, people have been waiting for this game forever. They did show it on Microsoft first. Kingdom Hearts 3. I played this one as a kid. I love this game. I'm not as big a fan as other people.
Yeah.
Even though I've played the games, I don't know what's happening in that game. So when they were showing off the trailer and they were showing off the Heartless and those guys in the black cloaks and daggers and stuff like that, still no idea. I'm just like, oh, sweet, I get to play in Frozen. I get to build a snowman now.
Right.
And then they showed off some Pirates of the Caribbean, and it looked really good. The game looks beautiful, even with its cartoon.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat that you are. I never played it as a kid. This one looks really good. I'm probably going to play it. My roommate's playing it. And he's a little too excited for it.
Yeah, no, he's one of those big fans about it. I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on. That's actually a good point, is maybe one of these days we should just, like, have a reaction of someone trying to explain the story to us. And I still don't think if someone went through, explained it 30 minutes down to me, I don't know if I'll get it.
Like I said, it's not a game that I played. It looks really good, and I'll probably play it. But
it's one of those games that is a long time coming, and it just has a cult following and
crazy cult following.
But they did announce that they're going to have an exclusive pro with it, which makes sense for a game that's been around this long. And it looks like it's going to be a beautiful system. Now, what I'm curious is this going to be like at a price point that the other exclusives have been in? Because usually they're $50 more, but sometimes Sony likes to, give us an easy one, and they put an exclusive system at like a lower price point or at the same one at their other retail prices. So if so, I might jump on top of that bandwagon.
Right. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah.
Being that it's a Pro to begin with, it's already the more expensive console. You might pay a little bit of a premium, but they'll throw the game in with it,
Makes
kind of
sense.
thing. So
makes sense. So this game that I'm going to talk about next, most of you already know what's on the list because we're going in order of what E3 went. It has everyone questioning everything, and yet I still don't know what's going on. Death Stranded. We saw some gameplay for it this time. We got a little bit more into the story.
A little bit.
And I was like, oh, I get what's going on. I finally get it. I do. And then they showed me like an extra 30 seconds of clip footage, and I was lost again.
We're a delivery boy.
That's it. Like,
that's what it is.
What I got from this game, I don't even know how to explain what was going on. Okay, so, whew. All right, where to begin? Last time we saw a clip, there's these invisible creatures.
Yeah.
And you need a fetus to be able to see these creatures.
Yeah. By
using some flashlight of some sort.
Yeah.
That just like
strobing away.
Yeah, just strobe light that can, and even then you don't see them. You just you can tell that their presence is there. Now we've learned that certain people can not only sense them but can see them.
Right.
So what?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you here. I have no clue what's going on, and I think that's probably what Kojima wants from us.
Oh man, I just hope it's not so gone that like we have no idea it's going.
He has a history of putting out these trailers and little hints and teases that just throw you way off. Like, you're just like, okay, I have no idea what is going on here, but just take my money.
Just take my money. Sounds about right. So that's the story part. We saw some gameplay. You were saying it's a delivery service.
It looks like a delivery service to me.
It also really... What's the actor's name? Norman Freeman?
Norman Freeman. Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
No, Norman Reedus.
Reedus? Oh, man. Norman Reedus, he was going through a tough time.
Yes, he was.
But the game looks like it's a walking simulator.
It's what it looks like to me. And that may be purposefully done. So, like I said, Kojima has a history of doing these weird things with his games that you just, like... He'll show you one aspect of it, and you'll be like, "Why? Like, why would you do that?" and then it's all explained in the end, and he sells millions of copies.
There you go. So, I feel like my theory about this game. Okay, from what we've been given, you're walking, delivering packages. You have different types of packages, which make the travel all that more difficult or easy. You can choose what type of packages you want to take. However, there's these invisible creatures that you may or may not see all the time, but you got the ability to sense that they're around, so don't get eaten.
Yeah, don't get eaten. Make sure you have your fetus with you.
Make sure you have your fetus with you.
Make sure you're strobing. Because otherwise you're not going to see them.
That is my best explanation I could possibly give for that game.
That sounds like the game. It sounds like that's what they're shipping.
So maybe the next time we see the game will probably be close to the finished product.
Hopefully.
Now, I believe we're on... No, there's actually one more game. I'm sorry. Neo 2. And I almost forgot about this game because they showed it as quickly as they stopped showing it.
Right. It's very quick.
I didn't realize it was Neo 2. He had like
horns and stuff.
Right, coming out of him, and then he was fighting this creature, and he transforms, and the horns turn into devil horns, and then it goes, the flames come out and get Neo 2. I never got to play the first one, unfortunately, even though it is a Dark Souls-esque type of game.
Yeah.
I know Brandon loves those types of games, the Dark Souls, and he believes that there should always be more Dark Souls. Do you agree with him on that?
I personally have played Bloodborne. That's the only one that I played from any of those kinds of games.
Right.
I have friends that have played Neo, like the original Neo. They're good games for some people. They're just not my kind of game.
I gotcha.
Personally.
I've always enjoyed a game with a challenge. However, I do like to be able to finish my games.
Yeah.
It's hard. Those games do take up a lot of your time, and they do take a lot of patience, which I get pretty stubborn with them, so I do love it. And just that accomplishing feeling
definitely
is what gets it. So I think Neo 2 is a great welcome. I'm glad they're making a sequel because the first one did so well, and it's going to make me want to go back and play it. Not much I can say about Neo, though, because they didn't show us much.
They really didn't. It was kind of a quick splash. Hey, look what we're making. It's coming at some point. Right. Look forward to it.
And now Sony ended with a bang. Oh, man, I've been wanting to talk about this game since I
know.
saw it. I was just like, why did Sony put this last? Spider-Man for PS4. Oh, okay. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. And the direction they had been going with this one, I was already okay with. You know, I had even convinced myself, it's okay if they don't put any other villains in the game. That's how...
Much to your surprise.
Bam! This trailer that they show off, alright, they show...
It was crazy.
It was Electro.
Yep.
And Spider-Man is chasing him. I'm like, oh, cool, Electro. He's letting out all these prisoners. I was like, oh, wait, they're in a prison. So, maybe some other villains? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got Rhino. I got me some Vulture. I got me some Scorpion. And then they stopped right there and they teased. They had a sound effect. To me, it sounded like a glider. But they're giving off this Sinister Six vibe. So a lot of people are thinking it's Doc Ock.
Yeah.
But jeez, the game is only looking better and better.
Every time I see it, I'm just like, just give it to me. Just give it to me already. Luckily, we only have 3 months, 2 months?
September.
So we're looking at 3.5 months or so.
Yeah, not even that far away.
Yeah, not far, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. I love, every time I see the combat, I'm just like, how? How? Because I played, have you played the original Amazing Spider-Man and stuff like that, back in the day?
I played Spider-Man 2, and they've come so far. I love Spider-Man 2. Yeah. I hated grabbing those balloons.
Yeah, those were the worst.
But I love...
Can you give me a balloon? No, leave me alone.
No, Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And this game, I actually went back and looked at Spider-Man 2, kind of like how you were talking about Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
It looks so bad compared to this one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Just graphically speaking, and the swinging. The swinging is phenomenal in this one.
It's so good in this one. And it's not even just the swinging. It's just, the web works in general are so good. They have no right making a game that good as Spider-Man... It's so time for a Spider-Man like this.
It has. We've had decent Spider-Man games since Spider-Man 2, but nothing as good as Spider-Man 2. So I am so excited for this one. I'm ready for Spider-Man to come back. I mean, Batman has had his time. The Batman era is over, and it's time for Spider-Man to come back. You know what? Speaking of Batman, they're working on a Superman game.
That is what has been talked about.
The same people. And I actually was hoping to see that this time, like a preview of that, but we will discuss the things that we wished we saw at E3 later on.
Yeah, definitely.
But what are your thoughts of, do you think this is too many villains for Spider-Man?
You know, I don't think so. I think everything they've added in here seems like it kind of fits what they're going for. Right. And it's kind of like what you said, you know, I feel like they're kind of shaped like this whole story that moves more around the bad guys and incorporates them more in. Because, like, in a lot of these games, in a lot of the Spider-Man movies, you know, they focus on Spider-Man a whole lot, but they don't, like, spend a whole lot of time fleshing out and trying to create a story that really gets people on the side of the bad guys, which that's like my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like, I love, like, Green Goblin and like Doc Ock and like all those like enemies, you know, the arch enemies of Spider-Man, and I think it's great that they're incorporating all of those into this.
Yeah, I agree. I think the game just got a lot bigger.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is more ambitious than I thought it was going to be, because this game doesn't just incorporate Mr. Negative now, which I thought, okay, that's big enough. Maybe they would like sprinkle in some guys there.
That's kind of what I was thinking too when I saw the original trailer.
Exactly.
Like that's all you're gonna bring. Like that's it. He was never my favorite. Right. So,
but seeing these guys is bringing a whole new look, and it's probably gonna give him a challenge that he hasn't had to face before, kind of like what they did with Batman, because this is an older Spider-Man. He's more used to his abilities, and so he's not meeting these guys for the first time. He's dealt with them in the past, and now they're going to go off and do their things. And as much as I loved Arkham Knight, I hope they're not just throwaway villains like kind of what they did in Arkham Knight. But I do hope it stays similar enough to where I get that open world and I get to face off these villains and I get to choose who am I going to go after, when I'm going to go after them, and they don't force me to go into this bland story of a villain and waste that villain's potential.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I also think it's great that they're, you know, that because they're having all these different villains added in, you know, from different time periods within the Spider-Man timeline, it's going to attract more people to this game than had it been just, you know, one specific character throughout the entire thing.
Exactly. I agree. I like that a lot more, and then it gives you more time to flesh out that story.
Definitely.
And so, other than that, man, I mean, Sony's press conference was short but sweet. That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah. Solid games, good delivery on 90% of them. But just a solid performance. Nothing that you would go, they shouldn't have done that.
Agreed.
You know.
Yeah.
Besides that intermission, I could have done without that. Like, you could have just done it all in the same Coliseum. Like, that would have been just fine.
Right. And so, before we end, we would actually like you guys to wait a couple of seconds. We need you guys to move to the next auditorium before we end the show. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to move to this next video for us. This has been Mario.
And this has been David.
And we're out of box. Until next time.